Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another Onward Ozarks episode, the speaker series from the Northwest Arkansas Council. I'm your host, Randy Wilburn. I am also the creator of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast, and I'm excited to be with you today for another great subject, a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and actually one that I hear more and more of the individuals that I come in contact with here in Northwest Arkansas talking about, which is either finding a good job or finding great talent to fill jobs that individuals have open at their current companies. And so we are going to take some time today to talk about that. And there is just a consistent need for high quality talent across the region here in Northwest Arkansas. And there are just multiple groups and institutions that are just joining forces. There's like a level of collaboration that I've never seen before in any area that I've lived in. And it says a lot about Northwest Arkansas. And so there are new adult programs being built that are both accessible and relevant to our regional needs here. And there are certainly, these programs are creating pathways for a stronger workforce and also providing support and upward economic mobility to families in Northwest Arkansas, some of whom are actually struggling right now. We know that we're having some challenges in from an economic standpoint. So there's a lot that's going on right now, and I think it's important for us to try to help in every step of the way. And so I think today's session is going to be really important, and I have some amazing individuals with me on this Onward Ozarks program. And the panelists, in no special order, are Tara Dreyer. Tara is a senior managing director for the University of Arkansas Global Campus. She one of the things that we're going to make sure that Tara talks about today is the millions of dollars in federal funding that's available for free training to people who are interested in any of the 105 different training and industry certification programs. She was sharing some of that information with us yesterday, and we were blown away. And we said that this information needs to get out there and people need to hear it. So I can't wait to hear from Tara and to let her share with you. Megan Bolinder is the Dean of Workforce and Economic Development at Northwest Arkansas Community College, NWAC. I was just up there on the campus. It's beautiful. She describes her professional loyalty as being to community college students who are working to better their lives. And there's nothing like having loyalty to the next generation. So we appreciate Megan for being here. Carol Silva Morales is president and CEO of Upskill NWA. I've heard so much about this organization. Carol's job at Upskill NWA is to connect people in Northwest Arkansas to their dream career. And they work to accomplish that at no cost to the program participants. There are so many programs like that that are sprouting up all over Northwest Arkansas. There's almost no excuse for anybody to not get the helping hand that they need to find the career that will ultimately satisfy them. And then finally, last but not least, Joe Rowlands, who is the Workforce Development Director at the Northwest Arkansas Council. One of his primary responsibilities is connecting businesses and industry to high schools, colleges, and workforce training programs to ensure that their training being provided matches the needs of local employers. And so we have assembled a who's who all-star team of panelists today to talk about this whole issue of upskilling, to talk about this whole issue of workforce development. So without further ado, I want to welcome Tara Dreyer, Megan Bolinder, Carol Silva Morales, and Joe Rollins to the Onward Ozarks program. But I have some things to share really quickly. I just want to tell you that we haven't forgotten there. We have some gifts for you today that you have to stay on throughout the whole call in order to be eligible for them throughout the session. I'll be reading off a few names. We've got some amazing gift cards that could be used for this holiday season, so they will certainly come in handy, but you have to be present when we call your name in order to get those gift cards. And then certainly I want to remind you, if you have a question or if you want to pose a statement that you'd like to possibly have us share, or maybe have one of the panelists answer, please drop those questions in the Q&A, and we will address those as quickly as we can. We obviously have, this is a moderated panel. We have a list of questions that we're going to ask that we think are germane to the topic that we're discussing, but we just want to put it out there that we're certainly open to hearing from each and every one of you, and we'd love to just have you ask your questions. So please, just please feel free to do that. So Joe, I want to give you the floor to start with, so that we can kind of, I'd love for you just to set the table for us, right? By giving us a snapshot of our regional workforce needs and trends, and relate this data back to the regional training programs represented on this panel, and just kind of connect the dots for everybody that's in attendance. And welcome again.
Sure. And hey, Randy, thank you. And ladies who are on the panel with me, I've had a chance to work with them over the course of the last 5 to 6 years, and they are phenomenal at what they do. And I know in attendance today, we have members from our educational institutions, we have employers. Truly, thank you for what you do. Thank you for engaging with us in this process, because it does not work without you. So to kind of set the stage for the conversation, as I look at our job needs, even for today specifically, Randy, we're looking at about 8,500 ballpark posted jobs that are out there. So as we enter the holiday season, let's kind of start this conversation with some hope that there are job opportunities out there for you if you're looking. There are also training opportunities out there for you that are either low to no cost. As you think about maybe changing someone's life, what a better way to do that than to give them either the gift of a new career opportunity, or even some training that might help them get there. So as you hear from all of these panelists, they have a lot to offer in terms of training and opportunity. Just to kind of paint the picture of where are the needs, we are quickly becoming a tech center. Northwest Arkansas is quickly becoming a tech hub. So just to kind of rattle off those high needs areas, our computer and information systems areas have been and will continue to be our top pinging number of jobs that are posted out there. That's going to include your software developers, your analysts, your systems and network architects, things to that effect. And we can talk about those training opportunities here, but it's quickly followed by healthcare. And I know that Carol can speak to that. Here we are in the time of the holiday season, where logistics, warehousing become very important. We're also a transportation logistics hub for this part of the country and beyond. Those are going to be some of those high needs areas. And I really want to make sure that as we talk about all these things from a council standpoint, we've talked a lot about, we've had a focus of trying to bring great talent to the area, and we're going to continue to do that. But on the home front, I want to make sure that we really kind of share the mission that we're going to build our talent workforce from the ground up. We're going to make sure that we get great opportunities for Northwest Arkansans and beyond. So to kind of set the stage for where we are, that starts with awareness and engagement. I think that's probably a good place for us to kind of share the message a little bit in terms of outreach, engagement with employers, onboarding students into these training programs. So Randy, I'm sure I'll want to chime back in with a lot of comments, but that kind of sets the stage for where we're going.
Yeah, no, absolutely, it does. And I certainly, I'd be remiss if I did not mention the fact that the council just relaunched careersnwa.com, which highlights resources and opportunities for educators, employers, job seekers, and students. You can go to careersnwa.com, and there's a host of information there. There will be jobs posted there, obviously, and it's almost like a place for you to link up to, right? Where I would say even just bookmark that page. If that's something that, thank you for throwing that up there, you could bookmark that page and refer back to it often, whether you are a teacher or somebody working with young people, you want to point them in this direction. I've even showed this page to my kids. It just relaunched a couple of days ago. It had a soft launch, and now it's officially out there. There's so much information available, sections here for employers, for educators, for students, for employment. I mean, let's just face it, this has been a long time coming. And in the US, we have kind of honestly been behind the 8 ball in this area of workforce development. In other countries, I lived in Germany. This was being done 20, 30 years ago. And now we are taking a concerted effort here in the United States, and specifically here in Northwest Arkansas, to make sure that we are adequately preparing the next generation for all of the relevant jobs that are going to be out there, especially as Joe said, some of the amazing jobs that are going to exist in the technology space. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and talk about this, and I'd love for each of the panelists to share a little bit about their specific programs. And Megan, I'm going to start with you. You can go first and just give us a quick Cliff Note version of your program and exactly what you're doing to impact workforce development here in Northwest Arkansas.
Sure. Thank you, Randy. And I need to start by saying that I have the privilege of being here to represent a number of really hardworking, compassionate people who never stop thinking about workforce development. Our faculty and our staff are all in. And so it's my privilege to be able to represent their good work here today. Big picture, what we do in our space, in the workforce development space, we find ways to help individuals and their organizations prosper professionally and personally. And so I want to riff a little bit on what you talked about with low and no cost training. Because I think that's one of the things that as a community college, it's part of our mission is affordable, accessible, quality, life-changing education. And so a couple of highlights right now that we are offering, we have partnered with Coursera to offer free Google certifications through March. So we are offering Google certificates in project management, in IT, in IT support, in digital marketing, and in user experience and design. And so that's available to anyone, those Google certifications. And that's a highly recommended and sought after industry certificate. We also are kind of the best deal on the block, if you will, as far as our credit cost. We're $79 a credit hour. And if you're a high school student enrolled in those courses, it's a third of that. And so we have a really robust high school partnership and concurrent program where our high school students are taking NWAC courses towards their industry pathways. And then finally, we have a really strong apprenticeship program in the trades. We have, that's an earn and learn program. And then in our space specifically, we're committed to prior learning. And so what we do is if an industry recognized credential or someone comes to us with experience or expertise that we can recognize, we put it into our Associate of Applied Science and General Technology. So up to 30 hours of someone's hard work and learning and expertise and credentialing can be put towards a college degree if they have not completed a degree. So that's just a fraction of the many, many things we do in construction, retail, bicycle technician. That's just a fraction.
It's huge. Yeah. And that bicycle technician program is amazing. And it certainly is appropriate for Northwest Arkansas, right? I mean, given that I'm going to call it, we're the bike capital of the world now, both mountain biking and road biking. You've heard it here first, December 1st, 2022, Northwest Arkansas is the bike capital of the world. And with programs like the NWAC program for bike repair, it just opens up a whole new opportunity. I remember growing up just going to the bike shop on a regular basis. Those people were my friends, and they were able to work wonders with my bike. And so nowadays in a bike culture like we have here in Northwest Arkansas, something like that as a job, as a career, as a profession is a reality now, whereas it may not have been just a few years ago. So we appreciate that. Now, Megan, somebody did ask specifically about accessing the courses and certification. And before I have you answer, I do want to say to everybody on this call, I think what we're going to have to do is I'm going to work with the council so that we have at least a one sheet that has the links to everything that we mentioned today on this call, because I know you guys are going to be kind of drinking water from a fire hose in the next 60 minutes. So, we'll make sure that we get you those links and how do you access those courses and certifications, and specifically the Google courses on Coursera that that Megan mentioned are very, very valuable. You can put those certifications on your LinkedIn profile, and that goes a long way in verifying your capabilities and skills with a potential employer. So you want to keep that in mind. Let's move on to, thank you for that, Megan. Let's move on to Tara. I would love for you, Tara, to kind of talk about what you're doing.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Randy. As you mentioned in the intro, the University of Arkansas Global Campus received about $10 million 2 years ago to launch a program called Reimagine. And this program is free training. It was developed and created to help individuals who were economically impacted by COVID to learn while they were potentially still at home to get a better job, to upskill or reskill or retool to get into the workforce. So the Reimagine program is out on our website too. It's training.uark.edu. There really are not a whole lot of criteria to qualify. So the 4 main ones are: you have to be 18, you have to be registered for selective service if you're a male, you have to be eligible to work in the United States, and then you have to either live or work in the state of Arkansas. And that's really it. The application should take less than 20 minutes if you sit down and fill it out. We are serving Arkansans all across the state. So currently we have participants in 74 of the 75 counties. So our reach truly is the entire state of Arkansas. We focused initially on high demand career areas and skills gaps areas. And so some of our programs range from phlebotomy tech through project management, and of course, data science and a variety of different IT courses. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to speak specifically to this because my wife, actually, when she heard about this, she was a stay-at-home mom. She has a master. I'm not a master. She's got a bachelor's in marketing, but her skills were a little rusty, and she wanted to kind of get back into the workforce, which she's doing right now. And she signed up for the course with the U of A and absolutely loves it. She's gotten reacquainted with a lot of things. She's already gotten her HubSpot certification, and now she's going through the university's program for marketing, just to kind of bring her up to speed to where things are. And it is. She said it was just to have access to a program like that, and for there to be no cost was huge. And every night she's up there in the bedroom just going through and studying and doing her work. So that's available to everyone. And I would encourage anyone that's listening that even hears remotely about this, that you need to take advantage of it. If you know somebody that wants to reskill themselves or upskill in an area that they already are comfortable working in, these are options for you to take advantage of. So thank you for pointing that out, Tara. We're definitely going to come back to you for more of this information. Carol Silva Morales, could you please share a little bit about Upskill NWA?
I'd be happy to, Randy. Thank you for having me on the program. And similar to Megan, I'm representing a lot of amazing people at the Accelerate Foundation and Upskill NWA and Walton Family Foundation that invested in us in order to do what we do and deliver the mission of Upskill NWA, which is to connect people to their dream careers. But Upskill NWA really seeks to improve the lives of working families and their children through training. So similar to Tara's program and Megan's program, we look at the high demand sector. In this case, it's healthcare. And we have selected 6 different programs, and Upskill NWA pays for the academic related costs. So any training costs, required equipment, we take care of. We also connect participants to wraparound services through career navigators who work one-on-one as mentors and coaches for each of the participants that comes into our program. And we do that so that we can help them succeed academically and professionally, because what we know, Randy, is we've got 150,000 people right here in Northwest Arkansas that are underemployed and at high risk of instability. Oftentimes, and you consider a non-traditional student, has significant challenges when it comes to going back to school. In fact, going back to school is one of the last priorities they have. When it comes to making a choice between working and earning income to support their family, really, there is no choice. But what Upskill NWA has the ability to do is to help give them access to something they thought was not possible: an education, a high demand, high wage job, and with the support of that career navigator and coach and all the resources that Park NWA can provide against those wraparound services, we see a better chance of success, and the early results are very promising.
Yeah, that's exciting. And I'm curious, before I move on to another panelist, I'm curious to know, what are you hearing directly from the employers here locally? What are they saying to you that not necessarily that they're looking for, but what are the biggest pain points that employers that you interact with are mentioning on a regular basis?
Yeah, that's a great question, Randy. So, aside from the fact that we've got thousands of jobs that are open in healthcare every single day, we see high demand for registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, surgical technologists, as an example. Aside from it's hard to fill those, there are some soft skills that employee also needs to have in order to be the very best employee they can be. Right. And some of those soft skills involve things like financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
What Upskill NWA does, and even job readiness. So what Upskill NWA does is we go out there and we find our community partners who do this really, really well. So with Dress for Success, we've created the Launch Your Career event for our Upskill NWA participants to be able to have their resumes professionally written, to be able to practice interview skills, and to receive that first interview outfit so they feel like $1,000,000 when they're in front of that hiring manager. I can tell you, just last week, we had a conversation with one of our partners down the road from here, and they said they absolutely love the Upskill NWA participant. And I see why. We put our heart and soul into each of those people. And so that care and that personal investment in that relationship really matters, and it really sticks out. And once that Upskill NWA graduates, Randy, we're not done with them. We understand, and this model includes contractual agreements with those participants who agree to work with that employer for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So we're in that relationship for 2 years, even after job placement, just to make sure that they're successful in their role.
And, just going that extra measure, if you will, is huge, right? Because I think one of the challenges that a lot of companies have is that they themselves put a lot of money and effort behind not just their onboarding, but their additional personal and professional development as you move forward. And they want to make sure that they're able to spend money on people that are going to stay within that organization, which is huge. And I think a lot of times that's one of the biggest concerns that employers have. I'm going to go out and hire this person and they're going to be gone in 3 months. And then the cycle continues. And so what you're offering with Upskill kind of circumvents that and offers a chance to kind of hold somebody's hand for a season, if you will. And this season's like 2 years, and then they're able to find greater success. And like you said, I'm so glad you mentioned some of those other soft skills that we don't talk about, the things that we don't learn in high school that most kids are not prepared for when they get out: financial literacy, communication, right? How to properly communicate with people, just little things like, looking people in their eyes and shaking their hands firmly and thanking them, and maybe even sending out, heaven forbid, a handwritten thank you note after an interview. I mean, these are the little things, right? But we laugh. A lot of us know this, but it's not always common sense that we think about, and I think the thing is, we have to recognize that as Northwest Arkansas continues to grow, we have people coming from a lot of different places. A lot of people just didn't get all those same lessons that some of us got about how to handle ourselves in certain situations and do certain things. And so I think it's important to say that, hey, we've got to be willing and able to help everyone bring themselves up to a certain standard and a certain level, especially when it comes to finding and keeping a job. And I think that's what all of you guys are doing so well within your respective areas of this whole conversation about workforce development. So,
And
yeah.
Randy, one final point I
Sure.
would make on that is that curriculum, if you will, effective communication, confidence building, the social skills that you mentioned, that exists within our program as a vision initiative, perseverance, or VIP workshops that we're giving on a quarterly basis for these students. So it's all built into this model.
Yeah, no, I think it's perfect. And I would encourage anybody on this call that's not familiar with Upskill NWA to please check them out after this call, because they are doing some amazing things. And if you need to look for a partner to help you as you onboard more employees, as the 8,500 people, as Joe mentioned, I think that number may be higher, Joe. I don't know, but I mean, we're arguing here over numbers. I mean, the bottom line is our focus should be what it is, and that's why we're having this whole conversation about getting our workforce up to a standard where people look around and say, man, I don't know what it is about Northwest Arkansas. It is the heartland, but man, they just have amazing workers and a talent pool that is huge and accessible. And so we want to be the standard bearer of that. So Joe, I want to come back to you because I would love for you just to kind of share some additional insights and things that you're kind of seeing on the ground, because you get a chance to interact with everybody. You talk to, you're talking to high school teachers, you're talking to folks at the college level, you're talking to local employers. Boots on the ground. What is your general sense of where things are right now, and what you're hoping specifically to see happen in the short term, like in the next 1 to 3 years?
That's a perfect setup. So you're right. I spend a lot of time in our high schools working with either students or even sometimes parent nights, or trying to help programs tweak or twist or modify what they're doing just to meet our current need. And I'll tell you, our high schools post-COVID, now that they have the ability to open their doors back to our community, they are hungry. They want that industry engagement. So if you're an employer and you'd like to be a part of, whether it's advisory councils or maybe modernizing some of the equipment that these programs are using, or just opening your mind and your thoughts to students and being a part of the process, I think you'll find that to be a really welcoming environment. And it goes all the way back, Randy, to that awareness piece. I'll tell you that, COVID had multiple impacts for everybody. And I will tell you the awareness factor of our students in terms of what kind of jobs are out there, that really took a hit, because they were either at home or they were in a blended online environment where they weren't able to interact with employers the way that I wish they could have. That's changing now.
Yeah.
There are events that are coming forward. That Careers NWA site, and I want to make sure I circle back to this with this new reboot. We are trying to give employers the ability to tell their story to our student body. And as we look at our current working environment, the average age of a worker in Northwest Arkansas has gotten younger. Post-COVID, we're about a 34-year-old average age working environment in Northwest Arkansas. Well, how do you spread the word to a 34-year-old market about what's going on around them, because they're going to work every day or they're caught up in their own circles? The answer is you have to do exactly what we're doing here, and you have to take a very proactive stance and take the information to them. So this is an invitation to everybody on this call. If you're an employer, this is your chance, because I want to offer something for the bargain basement price of $0 to you.
Zero.
We want zero. It's the holiday season, $0 for you. We want to give you a chance to tell your story to both a student market and an adult market, and we're going to help you do that. So through that Careers NWA site, we now have the ability to push out employer highlight videos, social media pushes, to hit students, whether they're on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat or YouTube or whatever their social media channel of choice might be. That's how we're going to try and get this message out to a younger audience so that you can tell the story about what does a day in the life look like? What do the benefits look like? That all important question as an employer, do you offer tuition assistance for your students or for your employees to continue to go to school? As I look at our job layout, just shy of 80% of our jobs that are posted would be classified as entry to middle level skill set kind of jobs.
Yep.
Meaning that's a great place to enter the workplace, learn who you are, get some support, build some roots, build a network, those things that help employers retain talent, as opposed to taking a job, finding out, man, this is not what I wanted, and just feeding that ever-ending cycle of that rotating door conversation with employers. It gives an employer a chance to invest in their people, to keep them close, and hopefully build a workforce that's going to stay right here. And we want to help share that message. At the same time, we also have some, I'm going to call them former employees at the moment, with hopes that they'll return to the workforce. But we've had some folks who've retired too soon, in my opinion. They still have a lot to offer Northwest Arkansas and beyond. As we talk about these adult upskilling and training and recertification programs, there are a lot of chances, even if you want to work as maybe a project manager that's not putting in that full 40, 60 plus hours a week, you can manage projects, still contribute, still be a part of the process, and candidly mentor some of our younger students coming in who need to know the tricks of the trade that you've had a career worth of institutional knowledge that we need to maintain.
Yeah.
And there are great ways to plug in, whether you're new to the world of work or whether you've been there for a minute. That Careers NWA website, we are trying to make that our hub for Northwest Arkansas through either posting jobs, looking for our current postings, learning about jobs either through our career finder or through our videos. That's out there for you, and it's free. It'll also point you toward these low to no cost training providers that we're talking about today, whether that's healthcare, whether it's tech, whether it's workforce related, whether you want to get a license to be a CDL driver. We have grant funding in place to do all those things at low to no cost to you, but we have to connect you with the knowledge so that you know it's there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's the other thing too, is the resources, the amount of resources that we have here in Northwest Arkansas. Like, for people that don't know, whether you have a library card for Fayetteville or not, you could live throughout the Northwest Arkansas region and go to the Fayetteville Public Library and get your CDL license. You can train, you can learn to fly a plane. There are a number of things that you can work on without cost in order to further yourself in a career or to get started and established in a career. So there really isn't any excuse. I think the biggest challenge is awareness. How do we make everyone aware of, it starts with programs like these, but then how do we continue to effectuate that awareness throughout? I think it's incumbent upon the employer community in Northwest Arkansas, and then all the programs like what you guys offer to be able to just let people know. And of course, what the Northwest Arkansas Council is doing with programs like these to just get the word out. I think it's huge. Joe, I want to specifically ask, and any of the panelists, if you have something you want to share on this topic, I want you to bring this up. I want you to chime in. But Joe, we did have one question on here, and I'm going to specifically read this question out. I want to thank everybody for the questions, by the way. A lot of people, actually, for the panelists, just so you know, people are just thanking us for all of this great information. We have almost 200 people on this call. This is by far the largest call that we've had, I think, of live people. And I also want to acknowledge a couple of our winners really quickly. Nancy Lang, if you're in the building, please let us know. We got a $100 gift certificate for you for Walmart. Our second and third winners are Ian Davidson and Clinton Schaffner. Clinton Schaft, SCHAFF. If you're in the building, please let us know, and we'll be sure to get these gift cards to you, and we'll announce a few others as we move throughout this program. But back to what I wanted to mention, and I want to read this specific thing to you. And Joe, I'd love for you to chime in, and then some of the other panelists can share, because I know this is an issue, and that issue is ageism. Okay, it's a real problem. There's a lot of people. I'm 53. I know I don't look it, but there are people that are my age and just a few years older that feel like I can't get back into the workforce, or I can't find something worthwhile for me to do because no one will look at me because everybody wants to hire a 20-something or, you know, a 30-year-old. And so this specific question resonated with me. I have relocated to Northwest Arkansas and have almost 25 years clinical experience, both patient-facing and management. I have found it difficult to find work that aligns with my experience and education. What recommendations and resources are out there for, and I love this word, seasoned professionals looking for work? This is a real issue.
It is. And seasoned works, experienced works, and I'm going to tell you, especially in certain circles, highly sought after. It fuels the conversation that we're talking about. We can't just fill our pipeline with all brand new employees. We've got to have people who have some experience, who know the ropes, who can supervise, be that mentor, that advocate. So and forgive me, I lost the name that you mentioned to me, but I'm going to do something that I would do for anybody. I will personally help make a connection here. If I can get this individual to reach out to me, and Randy, I know you're probably going to share our contact information at the close of the call.
Well, Joe, just put your email out there now, so that way she can reach out. And yeah, her name is Laura C. And this is, you know, this is a specific question that she had, but I'm pretty sure there are other people on this call that have the same question or line of question as far as that's concerned. So Laura, you know, this is where things get done, right here in programs like Onward Ozarks. So please reach out to Joe. Joe, just give your email address, and then that way she can connect with you directly, and you can give her some pointers and some tips on ways that she can kind of overcome some of the challenges that she's personally dealing with.
I'd like to jump in, if I may, and
yeah,
say
Megan,
that,
please go ahead.
In addition to, I think, all of us being ever willing to have these conversations and try to make these connections, I would encourage anyone in that space to not discount the importance of being a subject matter expert at this stage in one's career, and how we need those in the education space. And so we need faculty, we need advisors, we need subject matter experts who have been in the industry. And so, you know, we are always looking for qualified part-time faculty in the trades, in healthcare, so we would be willing to have those conversations and also be encouraged that there is a need for people with that expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. Tara or Carol, do you guys want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'm happy to add something. We do a lot of this with our IT programs. We find that there's a lot of career changers that are coming through the programs, and maybe had a career as a lawyer or maybe an administrative assistant, and now need to change and adapt and move into the IT sector. And so we talk a lot about the transferability of skills and seeing what you had in your past careers and how those skills are transferable into other careers and other occupations, and really adjusting and adapting those resumes to highlight those transferable skills. What skills did you have in those old careers? Because actually we're going through several interviews process right now, and experience is key, and experience is so important, but how that experience relates to the new job is something to highlight, especially if you're looking to change careers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well put.
I would just add one thing to this conversation, Randy, and that is that we currently have 3% of our participants who are attending school at NWAC, Northwest Technical Institute, or UAMS, that are between the ages of 50 and 59. So what I think is wonderful about this for Northwest Arkansas, and for somebody who's sitting in the audience who may say, hey, you know what, I've spent my whole life supporting my children, making sure they go to school. In the case of Pita, who is attending school at Northwest Technical Institute, she had grown children. And when this opportunity came on for her to be able to go to school at no cost to her, her children said, Mom, it's your turn. We'll support you and do whatever we want so that you can go to school and do what you want to do. And she's going to be a surgical technologist. And I'll tell you the really cool thing about this, Randy, is I had a call with her just a couple of months ago. She was sitting at the table. It was her daughter's table because they were helping her with schoolwork. Now let's think about this. You're 53 years old, going back to school. You've got an upskill and a career navigator, but my gosh, how cool is it to be sitting at the table with your kids in the support network and they're helping you go to school? You know, so anything is possible. I think for anybody that's sitting in the audience today, you can see that there are tons of options. We all are working together so that you can thrive in Northwest.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Career changes, I've had them. Things changed. I had no idea what I was going to do. I had no idea what I could do, but things change. There's options. There's people out here like Megan and Joe and Tara and me who can hopefully shine a light out there what the opportunities are, and there are tons of opportunities. So even those on the call, help us spread the word about this. Share the website that Joe's been talking about. Share about Upskill NWA. We're currently filling our 2023 cohort, so I will shamelessly say we've got 84 slots that we're filling, so apply at www.upskillnwa.com.
Oh, you heard it here first. Thank you so much for pointing that out, Carol. I certainly want to encourage everybody to take part in that. And you're absolutely right. I mean, it is, you know, when I think about it, you know, when you look at people are living longer, it may not seem like it, but people are living longer. And I tell people all the time that, you know, sometimes that second or third, you know, inning that you're in, or not inning, but quarter that you're in life, right, is like when you hit halftime, you're like, man, okay, I've already lived half my life. What else is there to do? There's still a lot to do. And you're going to find more and more people are going to be retiring later, some because they have to due to financial situations, but others because they just don't want to sit at home. And they would much rather be in a workplace providing real value and being a part of something. And I think that's what makes this community in Northwest Arkansas so great. But I think employers do need to get past some of the stigma and challenges that, you know, age does present for a lot of people when looking at it. And here's the other thing. The challenge today in this marketplace when it comes to jobs and recruitment and getting your resume out there is that what people don't realize is that artificial intelligence is the first gatekeeper for a lot of these jobs. And a lot of people don't understand, how do I navigate that? And, you know, so some of you have mentioned free resources when it comes to resume building and putting that resume together properly so that it has the right keywords in it, so that people, you know, so that you are getting past that robot gatekeeper, if you will, so that when it finally gets to a real person, you know, you have a chance at getting that job. And that is a real challenge as well that people aren't fully aware of. And so you almost need to know how to play that part of the employment game to set yourself up for success. And all of these programs here can kind of help you in that area where you may not know exactly what to do, or that resume that you dusted off from 15 years ago, it's not as relevant as it used to be because it's not written in the proper format. And so you need to be thinking about that as we move forward. And it may be time for some of you to just do a reboot on your resume and just refresh it from top to bottom, because you may find that it will be much more valuable for you and will get more callbacks and emails with responses like, hey, can you come in and speak with us about this potential opportunity? So would anybody like to speak on that specifically?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk a little bit about the reboot and making sure that you are, some of you might be on the call today and not looking for a job. Maybe you have a great career and maybe you want to just thrive in the job or occupation that you're in. One of the things that we are seeing with employers is they understand and recognize the importance of the individual's personal health and well-being at the same time. And so they are encouraging employees to participate in things that help them. It's personal enrichment. And that's everything from getting out to the trails and biking around during your workday, to, taking courses that enrich the person and who you are. So I think that there's an opportunity. My grandpa once said, the one thing nobody can ever take away from you is an education. And you can continually get an education for the rest of your life. Another low-cost training opportunity that we do have coming up, we're doing a community series in 2023. All courses are going to be less than $10. Some of them are going to be free. And they are truly personal enrichment, but at the same time, we're doing a lot of business courses and entrepreneurship courses where maybe somebody just wants to dabble in some of these other areas a little bit. And learn everything from true crime through building your personal brand. We're going to be offering over 75 courses in 2023. So we'd love to have the community come and participate in those also.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I mean, there's all kinds of options out there for you. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to add to that? Append, Joe?
I did.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dr. Bolinder.
Go ahead, Megan.
Well, I wanted to bring attention to one of our signature programs, which is now internationally reaching, which is our Certified Retail Analyst program. It was started over 20 years ago in combination with Walmart to help create analysts with retail link data, and has expanded to use data analytics with Nielsen. We have incredible partnerships with our industry partners and our supporters. And I think that this speaks specifically to people who are career changers, because we have been able to offer this program virtually in the evening. And so we have lawyers, we have chief of fire department, we have numerous other jobs represented in our program right now. But what they find is specific employment help towards retail. And if there's a place that employees in retail, supplier, vendor, it's this community. And so I wanted to make sure I brought attention to that, because the focus of the program is to create career changers, analyst positions in the retail industry. And so that's also at nwac.edu/workforce. You can find all of that information about our Certified Retail Analyst program as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I mean, certainly the elephant in the room is Walmart, right? We have a Fortune 1 right in our backyard. And, when you think of the Walmart effect, I mean, you almost have to be thankful for it, but at the same time, you got to be constantly thinking about how can we help support this organization, this company, because in supporting Walmart, honestly, we're supporting this region. As well as the state as a whole. So I think it's very important, and it's not self-serving in the least to mention that, because there's so many opportunities that are an offshoot of that great company right up there in Bentonville. So something to think about. Joe, I know you wanted to share something.
I would just trying to stay true to that resume construction. If we're trying to get past those entry-level screening kind of criteria, I'm going to give everybody on the call a free look at the playbook right now. I've got by name, and we can run this report at any time. Those very things that we're talking about, it comes from the resumes that are posted, or I'm sorry, from the job postings that are posted out there by name. So if you are currently in the job hunt, let me give you some key phrases, key things to either make sure that take advantage of some of these certification programs, or if you already have those, make sure that you really accentuate these skills that you have. Let's see if we can't help some folks get past some of those screeners. But we can talk about certifications, anything in the Microsoft category, anything in the Google category. Java is posted almost 600 times today, structured query language. But then we can get down into CDL certification. We need forklift certification for our warehousing. If we get into the soft skills, communication has been, will be, and will continue to be number one, both verbal and written. a lot of us don't think about ourselves as being either cooperative or a team player. You won't find a job out there that doesn't require it right now. So think about this. We're also becoming a very customer service oriented region. And that includes all kinds of elements of communication, empathy, phone skills, being able to carry on a conversation, working with people, and adaptability. So those are some of those top ranking key phrases that are coming through right now on job postings, just for public record. So if you're currently in the job market, if you're searching, think about the skills that you do have. And if they align with those certifications or those personal behaviors, those hard or soft skills, make sure that you're not necessarily bragging if you're truly telling your own story. And sometimes we struggle with telling our own story about who we are. Don't be afraid to do that, because our employers are looking for quality individuals right now.
Listen, everything that you just mentioned, people are going to have to watch this video again and play that back, because Joe just gave you a playbook for how you set yourself up for success, especially from your resume perspective and how you put yourself out there. You just need to understand how this process works. Once you do that, you'll start to find that the no's become yeses, and that there'll be more doors open for you than just a few. So thank you for sharing that. There are two things, because we're going to have to land this plane really soon, and I want to congratulate our last two winners for the Walmart gift certificate, and they are Adaline. If I mispronounce it, please forgive me. Adaline McClinney and Beth Ann Jones. If you guys are in the house, please raise your hand. Congratulations. You guys have won a $100 gift certificate from Walmart, Adaline McClinney and Beth Ann Jones. So congratulations to you guys. So excited that you were able to participate. We thank you for being here. And I can give you my address if you want to send me a gift with that gift card. I'm just kidding. So anyway, so here are the last two things that I want to mention before we close this out. Two issues that have come up, and a good friend of mine, Damara Baker from Rock and Baker, she has done an amazing program with her cadets, with working with neurodivergent employees, and it's a big deal, and so much so that I actually even focused a whole episode on it on my podcast this particular week of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast, talking about the role and how do employers in Northwest Arkansas attract neurodivergent talent, right? Because I think according to Damara's statistics and some of the demographic information that I've seen out there, there's at least 4,000 plus neurodivergent individuals in Northwest Arkansas that are fully capable of working and working a lot. But they aren't always given the opportunities. And you know, Damara is only one person, and Rock and Baker is only one company, but there are so many opportunities out there. What would your response be about that with regard to employers, and what are you hearing from employers about neurodivergence and creating a space for them to have more opportunities in the workplace? And anybody can share, whoever has something they want to share. Megan or Joe, anybody? Carol?
I would say this. Hello to my amiga Daimara. Un abrazo fuerte. My experience in this is limited to the role of an employer. So I will share that I've been with Walmart, or I was with Walmart for 25 years. And spent 18 of those years as an operator. So I had my own stores in San Diego, California, San Antonio, Texas, and had a market in Northwest Oklahoma. When I was a store manager in San Diego, California, we did employ, through a workforce development program, neurodiverse and adults with disabilities, physical disabilities. And so I will tell you that the sense of pride and ownership in a job. Now, the job required a coach to be on site with them. And that was just to make sure that if there was any discrepancy or a misunderstanding between what the job was that was required and how to do it, I mean, to make sure that there was somebody there that could assist full time. As you can imagine, running those Walmart stores was really a busy time. But anyway, I'm a huge proponent of this program but I'll admit I don't know enough about that. And so, Joe has talked about awareness. That's what we're doing here, right, Randy, is building this
Yeah.
awareness. I would also love to know who else in this country and outside of this region is doing this really well. I mean, what I can tell you about even this model at Upscale NWA, it isn't because we created it. It was because NWAC and the NWA Council commissioned a study that said, hey, where is there a more integrated workforce development model? Where does it exist? What does it look like? And I can tell you, it doesn't work without all the partnerships of the people we have right here on this call. This model includes participants and their contracts and their guarantees to graduate and work, our employer partners and hospital systems, our education partners like NWAC and NWTI and UAMS. It's all of us together. So I would just say, to go back to Daimeta's question, let's see who's doing this really well so that we can learn from one another and we can try something new.
And let's embrace the concept of pathways, so that at whatever point someone comes into this learning journey, there are multiple places to come in and out. I think that what I appreciate so much about what we do in the workforce and adult education space is there are honestly fewer barriers of entry. Sometimes the test scores aren't required in the same way that they are on the academic credit side, but that doesn't mean that eventually that learner or that worker won't get to that next step in the pathway, which is a terminal degree. And so I think it's really important to embrace pathways, and also to recognize that all of us on this call believe that the success of what we do happens after the learner is with us. So we're committed to placement. We're committed to success in that pathway forward, and would love to talk about that forever with whoever would want to have that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Randy,
Joe, you want to say something?
I do, just to kind of wrap up this specific topic, because it is very pertinent right now to what the council's trying to work for in 23 under the larger umbrella of truly trying to make sure that we're taking care of all Northwest Arkansans in this process. Back in the fall, we've already commissioned a study and trying to work through this best practices conversation about truly an all-inclusive environment for all Northwest Arkansans, and that includes all elements of diversity, whether that be cultural or neurodiverse. So there should be information coming out from our office. We do plan to work with our employers in trying to build a best practice scenario for what does this look like? Is it ready today? Not ready today. Is coming forward in the hopefully very near future. So I appreciate the question, because it's something very near and dear to our work currently. And I hope we can talk more about that as it becomes more mature.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. Tara, you want to add something on that? Or?
Yeah, I just think most business and industry, and including the educational institutions in our region, have diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and it's pretty new to the workforce. But if you look at the university, if you look at the council, if you look at NWAC, everyone is embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I think the neurodivergent community is definitely included in that demographic.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing that. I have one last question before we close this out, and I'm gonna ask it in two parts. First part is for you, Tara, specifically. Can international students access the course and resources that you talked about, and maybe Dr. Bolinder that you talked about as well? Are those accessible by international students that are here currently?
As long as they meet those 4 criteria. So they have to live or work in the state of Arkansas and be eligible to work in the United States. So those are probably the 2 that they would need to answer yes to.
Okay, and I know that there are some international students at the U of A that are not eligible to work.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
so it is a federal grant, so we do have to abide by those federal regulations.
Okay, great.
The programs that
Dr.
I mentioned are eligible international students.
Okay.
Enrolled in them. Yes.
Okay. All right. And then finally, I want to ask this question, and this might be more to you, Joe, and I don't know how much you guys have thought about this, but in terms of including immigrants and refugees in the workforce conversation, what does that look like right now? What are you guys I mean, obviously there are a lot of pain points with that particular topic of conversation, but what are you finding has worked?
So as we continue to grow as a region, and we're projected to continue the growth trend that we've been on over the last 5 years coming to the region, the way that we started this conversation, that creates kind of a double-edged sword. It's a fantastic thing. We have new talent, new people, new skills moving to the area. At the same time, they're moving here with varying levels of education, of skill development, even linguistic capacity. So it creates a very interesting scenario for us in terms of trying to make sure that families can get acclimated, can become workforce employable. But we are currently working with a handful of the consulates in the area, trying to create an answer to that very question, whether it involves visas or trying to ease that process, or trying to help folks get more quickly acclimated and associated with employers. So to say that we have a well-polished response to that, still in development, but it is taking place now in terms of what does that establishment look like once families move here? How are we getting them connected, making amenities available to them, getting them connected to employers? So very much a part of that diversity, equity, and inclusivity conversation.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention that, and certainly our goal is to not leave any stone unturned as far as this is concerned. So I know there's organizations out there like Canopy, NWA, and others that are helping acclimatize refugees and other immigrants to this area, and so this is kind of a continual conversation that's going to only improve over time. So Tara, did you want to add something to that? No? Okay. All right. Great. Well, listen, this has been an outstanding, I could go on and on with you guys, and maybe I need to bring you all on my podcast and we can continue this conversation, but this is really valuable. And I think every employer in the state, but primarily in Northwest Arkansas, needs to listen to this again. And those of you that know people that need to listen to this, please share this with them. I just want to thank everybody that asked a question: Triza Barker, Andrea Roten, Jean Parker, Zara Farda, Missy Panko, Janet Shea, Laura C., Lena Matos, Robin Glimmy, Damata, Judy Collins, Krista Patrick, Christine Walters, Judy Collins. Listen, just so you know, Francine Lloyd, all of Gretchen, thank you guys for just taking time out of your day to get your Thursday started and to spend time with us here at the Northwest Arkansas Council and the Onward Ozarks program. This speaker series is for you. It's for all of you, and you need to take advantage of this. You need to go back and watch some of the other recordings that we've done, but I think you need to watch this one again a second time. And I certainly want to thank all of our wonderful panelists, starting with Tara Dreyer from the University of Arkansas Global Campus, Megan Bolinder from NWAC, Carol Silva Morales from Upskill NWA, and of course, our Mr. Joe Rollins, Workforce Development Director at the Northwest Arkansas Council. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Rob Smith and Nate Green for all of the legwork that they did in the background. We appreciate all of you guys indulging us for an hour plus of time. I've gone over by 1 minute, so I want to wish everybody a happy holidays. However you celebrate, I hope you have an amazing December. And I'm looking forward to 2023. I think it's going to be a great year for each of us individually, as well as collectively in a region here in Northwest Arkansas. I'm Randy Wilburn, the host of Onward Ozarks and the host of the I Am Northwest Arkansas podcast. And I appreciate you all so very much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Peace.